The crystalline palace of Xipheron 7 shimmered under 3 violet suns, but Princess Bella felt nothing but cold emptiness. She stood at the observation deck, her iridescent skin flickering between shades of blue and gray, colors that betrayed her melancholy to anyone who understood Xipheronian biology. "Another suitor has withdrawn his proposal. Your Highness," her attendant whispered, barely audible. Bella closed her 4 eyes, 2 on each side of her elegant face. "Let me guess. My defect frightened him away?" The attendant said nothing, which was answer enough. Bella was born without the telepathic abilities that defined her species. In a civilization where thoughts flowed freely between minds, where courtship happened in silent symphonies of shared emotions, she was utterly alone. 17 suitors from 17 star systems had rejected her. To them she was broken, a princess in title only, worthless as a political alliance. "No one wants me," she whispered to the stars beyond the viewport. Far below, in the maintenance sector of the palace's docking bay, Canet wiped grease from his hands and studied the Xipheronian pleasure cruiser before him. The ship's quantum drive had collapsed, and he'd been working for 6 hours straight to repair it. Humans weren't common on Xipheron 7. When Earth had joined the Galactic Coalition 3 decades ago, humanity had been labeled as charmingly primitive by most species. But they had one undeniable talent: humans could fix anything. While other species had automated their technology to perfection, humans retained an intuitive understanding of how machines worked, a hands-on ingenuity that made them the galaxy's most sought-after mechanics and engineers. And Canet had arrived on Xipheron 7 6 months ago, part of an Earth diplomatic mission. He'd chosen to stay, finding peace in the methodical work of repairing starships. The Xipheronians paid well and left him alone, a perfect arrangement for someone who'd spent his life feeling out of place on Earth. "You're still here?" A melodic voice called from above. Canet looked up to see an alien woman descending the maintenance ladder. Her skin rippled with curious shades of purple and gold. Colors he'd learned indicated interest and surprise. "Just finishing up," he replied, returning his attention to the quantum manifold. "This ship should be ready by morning." "You're human," she observed, moving closer. "I've never spoken to one of your kind before." "Most people haven't. We're still pretty new to the neighborhood." He glanced at her elaborate clothing, silver fabric that seemed to move like liquid. "You work in the palace?" "Something like that." Bella watched him work, fascinated by the confidence in his movements. "May I ask you something?" "Sure. Do humans? Do you have telepathy?" Canet laughed. "Not even a little bit. We barely understand each other when we're talking out loud." Bella's skin flickered through a dozen colors: shock, confusion, hope. "But how do you communicate? How do you know what others are thinking?" "We don't," he shrugged, setting down his tools. "We have to use words, body language, facial expressions. It's messy and imperfect. People misunderstand each other all the time." "That sounds Bella searched for the right word. "Lonely." "Sometimes," Canet admitted, "but there's something beautiful about it too. When someone chooses to share their thoughts with you, it means something. It's a gift, not an obligation." Over the following weeks, Bella found herself returning to the maintenance bay. She told herself it was curiosity about human culture, but deep down she knew the truth. Canet didn't care that she couldn't broadcast her thoughts. He seemed to prefer speaking aloud, taking time to choose his words carefully. They talked about everything: her isolation, his decision to leave Earth, the fundamental loneliness they both carried. Canet told her about human courtship, how people spent years learning about each other through conversation, shared experiences, and trust. "On Earth," he explained one evening, "we have a saying: actions speak louder than words. It means what you do matters more than what you say or think." Bella's skin glowed soft pink. Affection. "I wish I had been born human." "I'm glad you weren't," Canet said quietly. "You're perfect as you are." The words struck her like a quantum pulse. In 26 years, no one had ever said that to her. When her father, the Emperor, announced that Bella must marry within the month or forfeit her title, she didn't despair. Instead, she went to the maintenance bay. "Marry me," she said simply. Canet looked up from a thruster assembly covered in grease, his hair standing in 12 different directions. "What?" I know it's sudden, but yes, he interrupted. You don't understand. I'm defective. I can't, Bella. He stood and walked toward her, stopping just close enough that she could see the sincerity in his eyes, those strange, expressive human eyes. I don't want a telepathic princess who shares thoughts with everyone in the court. I want you, the person who asks questions and listens to answers, the woman who spends her evenings in a maintenance bay talking to a grease-covered mechanic. That's who I want. Her skin blazed through every color in the spectrum: joy, disbelief, love. The wedding scandalized the court. A princess marrying a human mechanic? Impossible, improper, unprecedented. But as Kenneth took Bella's hand during the ceremony, speaking his vows aloud in front of 3 sons and 1,000 witnesses, something remarkable happened. The Zypheronians in attendance realized they could hear every word, every promise, every declaration of love spoken plainly and honestly, and in that moment, they understood what humanity had known all along. Sometimes the most profound connections happen not in the silence of shared thoughts, but in the courage of spoken words. Bella's skin glowed pure gold, the color of absolute happiness. I do, she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being.